Hi, this is Erica Dyer with Incoherent Ramblings of a Crazy Bitch and my producer, Nick. Hey, Nick, how is it going?
It's going good. It's going good. We're finally, into fall and into that weather, but it's still warm where I am. How about you? How is it where you are?
It's it's kind of in between. Like during the day, it is warm enough. You can have your heat off. It's actually really lovely. But at night, it drops down to, 50s and 60s. So it's cold and you want to turn your heat on, but you're like, God damn it, it's only September. I don't want to turn my heat on yet.
Exactly. So, what are we talking about before we get into it? Do you want to give everybody the email they can give for questions?
I do. It's ericadyerpodcast at gmail.com. I think that's right, isn't it?
That's right. What kind of questions do you want?
Anything and everything. I'm so very sad. Nobody is sending us any questions. I can't believe it, Nick. You have been working so hard to put our shit out there and nobody has any questions. They might be afraid of the answers. I think that might
They
be the
they might
problem.
they might, but I mean, yeah. If anybody wants your name, like obviously not said in the email or the
I
question, we can
won't
always
say
do
it.
that too. Yeah, we won't say anything in it. Just let us know beforehand. It's fine. But
Yep, I
yeah,
won't say it.
yeah. But what are we talking about this week?
Well, I feel like I need to talk about my father because
Okay.
it is my father died 18 years ago around this time.
Oh wow.
And he was, I know, very sad, very sad. My cat also died a few years back around this time, and my mother died last year around this time. So this time is a time of death and looking back, but that's okay because this is my father we're talking about. And this is the man that raised me. So, I was raised by a single father, and that might explain a lot of my personality. Um, my parents got together. It's actually one of those love stories that is just so fucking amazing. My dad and my grandfather owned a furniture store in the little town that I'm in. And at this furniture store, they also had auctions. And I guess my mom had been there and she had two older children and she was bidding on some bedroom furniture and shit like that. And my dad, who was there, outbid her and he won all of this furniture. And I guess she went up to him and she cussed him out because he was taking furniture and beds and shit from her children. And she cussed him out. So this man, because they owned the furniture store where this auction was, got her address and delivered all that furniture to her house or to her
Oh,
apartment.
nice move.
Isn't
Nice
that
move.
fucking smooth,
That's a good
man?
move. That's a good move.
Isn't it though? I'm
Yeah.
like,
These
man,
days,
that's smooth.
these days, the cops will be called and you'd be a stalker.
I know, yeah, he fucking would be. Yeah, he delivered all that, swept her off her feet, and although she had two older children, um, she ended up getting pregnant for me and ended up having me. Um, when I was born, I was asleep when I was born. So back in the day, I don't know what medications they gave moms when they were in labor, but whatever med they gave her actually put me to sleep. So when I was born asleep. And I was told that um, my dad, of course, this was when men were not really in the labor room,
Yeah.
but my aunt Glenda came out and she's like, "The baby's dead. The baby's dead. Oh my god, the
Oh
baby's
my
dead!"
God.
Because I was asleep,
Oh my
and
God.
everybody's crying. Everybody's crying. No, I was just fucking sleeping, kind of like how the rest of my life went. I'm just kind of sleeping, relaxed through life. So my parents were married. Well, they split up. They got married after I was born, and they got married in Las Vegas. They were both blackjack dealers out in Las Vegas. Yeah.
Wait, hold
Now
on.
it's making a lot more sense, right?
Was the wedding one of those like quickie drive-through places, or was it like
I
a full-on wedding?
I
Okay,
no, it was not a full-on wedding. It had to have been one of those quickie places.
gotcha.
My mom used to have a tape of the wedding, but that is long gone. But yeah, so they got married after I was born, and we all lived out in Las Vegas, and I can remember being little and my dad taking me to work at like Circus because this is before um they were really strict about under 21 not being on the floor. I would fucking sit at the tables, the blackjack tables at Circus with my dad dealing blackjack. And I would actually play blackjack
That is
with these
hilarious.
grown men. Oh, I was good too. My dad taught me how to count
Oh,
cards and change when I was really little. I was really fucking good at math and all of that when I was little. And so when my parents split, they split when I was about 2. My dad took me and raised me. So I was raised by a single father my entire fucking life. But oh my God, what a fucking father, man. So when I was really little, I can remember traveling all over the United States. My dad had me everywhere from Alaska to California, over into the Midwest. We traveled fucking everywhere, right? And everywhere we went, women loved my dad. Oh my God. I can remember sitting there and he had these beautiful, long, natural eyelashes, beautiful hazel eyes. And women just would fucking throw themselves at him. But, of course, being a little kid, I never realized how much until I got probably about 7 or 8. And then I started noticing some shit. So we lived on my dad once I started school. He actually put me in a Baptist school. I went to a Baptist school from kindergarten through 3rd grade. So
so
I have a lot of
you were in a
I
religious school.
I went to a religious school. I had to wear dresses,
God.
I was at a Baptist school.
Yeah,
For many
I mean, like there's always that thing that's said about religious girls, so there's always a
so
connotation there.
yeah, exactly. So I can remember one time in particular, um, my dad had bought this farm and I can remember the phone ringing. And I get up and I go and answer the phone. And it was this guy. And I remember the guy's name. He's, asked, he said, "Is my wife there?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I think so. I think she's in bed with my dad. Let me go check." I was like 8 years old. So I go into my dad's bedroom and there's my dad sleeping naked. And there's this man's wife sleeping naked. And I'm like, "Hey, your husband's on the phone." Because this was not unusual for my father. This was like normal. This was normal. I would find random women in his bed all the time because I slept with my dad. I know it sounds perverted now, and now there would probably be some like big controversy about it, but I slept in the same bed as my dad till I was 10 years old. Not that he would try to kick me out. He would lock me out of the room. I would get a butter knife and jimmy the lock. And if he had a woman in there, I'd sleep on the floor. I had to be near my father. So I knew he had this woman in his bed. I went and woke her up so she can go talk to her husband. Your husband's on the phone.
I like how you had a way of getting in regardless. Like he could lock the door. It's like this ain't working.
You ain't gonna fucking lock me out, man.
This ain't working.
You ain't not gonna lock me out. So that's how pretty much my entire childhood was. Random women. It did not matter. My dad, he had some great fucking friends, great male friends, even better female friends. And when I was probably about 14 years old, I asked him, I said, "Dad, why do you sleep with all these women?" Because now I'm understanding Oh, my dad's bedroom is like a revolving door, right? There's like all these fucking women that are in there. And so
that
I
must
asked
be
him, I'm like,
like
Dad,
I'm starting to picture this from his end, because like his daughter who's 14 is like probably across from like the breakfast table, and you're asking him, it's like, Dad, what's going on?
why do you sleep with all these women? And he said, Erica, they come to me. I don't go to them. Oh, hell no, he didn't. They come to me. I do not go to them. Okay, Daddy. I see. Oh my God. So so that's pretty much how the majority of my childhood went. But see, I remember stories like when he had his 40th birthday party. Oh my God, I remember him coming home. He had a fucking blow up doll tied to the front of his car. He had a bra tied to his car. I was raised by this very attractive, very outgoing man that women loved.
Yeah, it sounds like you like your dad was Hugh Hefner. That's basically what it
He
sounds
kind
like.
of was. I tell you, probably a couple of the worst things. So there was these two, I can remember riding in the back of the car, two 21-year-old friends. My dad is like 40, and these girls are like 21 each, and they're like both with my father. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, you girls are too young for my dad. And they're like, hey, you don't know your dad. Oh my God. Damn. Two 21-year-olds when he was 40, but it gets better.
Oh gosh.
So when I was in middle school, so I switched to a public school. And when I was in middle school, my dad started dating this girl, and he actually got kind of serious with her. Her name was Sheila. She lived in Columbus, Ohio. My dad sold cars for a living, so he went to the car auctions over in Columbus, Ohio. And he had met this young lady, Sheila, over there, and started dating her. Well, I found out later, fucking Sheila was 18 years old. So my dad, who was in his 40s, was dating this 18-year-old. And I'm like, Dad, why are you dating an 18-year-old? And he goes, because it's only a few years older than me. And he's like, well, when I met her, I asked her how old she was. And she said that I asked her if she was out of school. And she said, yes. I meant college. She was talking high school.
Oh
So,
gosh.
yeah. Yeah, that almost got me in trouble at school because I was actually in the bathroom at school talking about it because Sheila had came over to our house and it was so fucking cute. Now looking back, my dad tried to protect me, dumbass. So Sheila would spend the night at our house, but because she was closer in age with me, she would sleep in my room until I fell asleep. And then, of course, she would sneak out and go over to my dad's room. But he did try to protect me. So that was really fucking cute. But yeah, so he dated Sheila for many, many years. And then he got a little bit older and he met a woman that he got very serious with. And that was like everybody thought he was going to marry this woman. He was with her for 15 years, all through me growing up, having my kids and things like that. And then he said when she hit menopause, she became a biting sow and he wasn't going to put up with that. so, so yeah. He did have one like major serious relationship, but he was quite a catch. That's for damn sure. I didn't realize how much of a catch until we had his funeral. So most funerals are sad and somber, and oh my God, this loved one died, and we're very sad. We want to cry about it. But this is my dad we're talking about, right? We've had a lifetime of like a revolving door on his motherfucking bedroom. And the first time I knew that this was going to be a little bit more exciting was I saw some woman I'd never known before, and my uncle pointed her out. And he's like, "Yeah, your dad used to live with her." I said, "Oh, he did." He goes, "Yeah, he almost married her." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, I'll go and talk to her." And I asked her, I said, "Well, okay, so when did you live with my dad?" And she gave me the years, and she said, "Until 1973." And I'm like, 73? I was born in 73. That might be the reason you broke up, is because I was fucking born. Oh, I might be wrong about the date. Yeah, bitch, you ain't wrong about the date, but that's okay. There was all kinds there. There was a couple, there was a lesbian couple that was there that my dad lived in this apartment building with. And they proceeded to tell me that they were really good friends with my dad and how funny he was. And he was telling me about this one chick that he was dating. And see, by the time my dad died, he was a double amputee. He had no legs. He was double amputee. He was constantly in a wheelchair, but he had a vehicle that was handheld and things like that. So he was very active. But these these lesbians were telling me how my dad would tell them stories about this woman that gave him the best blowjobs ever. She, because of course he's in his 60s now, she would take her fucking teeth out.
Oh my God.
And she gave the best fucking blowjobs ever. And I'm like, dear fucking Lord, do we have to talk about my dad getting blowjobs at his funeral? But of course.
Have you ever seen a movie called Big Fish?
Oh my God, I think years ago I have.
What
I
you're
think,
describing, what the funeral you're describing kind of reminds me of like the adult version of that ending of that movie, because
oh my God.
that guy's father dies, and he knows these people all from his entire life, and they all come to his funeral, and the kid finally realizes what all the stories were and things. That's kind of what you're talking about now. That's what kind of reminds me of.
Oh my God. Oh my God. But yeah, it gets better. So this is my dad's funeral, right? So I thank these lovely ladies for telling me about my dad getting wonderful blowjobs before he died. I'm so glad he had some great blowjobs in the last days of his life. Appreciate that. But so we're sitting up there, and I'm sitting up towards the front, and in comes so this woman that my dad dated for 15 years that he was no longer with. They broke up because she was a biting sow. And my dad, my legless father, even though he, couldn't live anymore, he wasn't going to put up with that shit. She comes up to his funeral, and she has these little tiny shorty shorts on and these knee-high socks and a tank top on.
Oh my God.
She had just got off the plane and came directly to the funeral. So my uncle put her up in the front row. Yeah, yeah, because she's family. And I'm like, oh, hell yeah, come on up, come on up, come on up. And so we're sitting there, and my uncle is up front. He's doing the eulogy, and he's talking about my dad, and he was very close to my father, and what a wonderful guy he was. And he asked if there was anybody that wanted to say anything. And from the back, this lady goes, "I want to say something." And there was a lot of people there. Okay. Because my dad was very well known, very well known. And so this woman goes to the front, right? And while she's up there, she's like, "Yeah, I used to clean the house, and I used to watch Erica, and I used to have sex with Jim." And we're like, at this funeral, right? And my uncle is just, and this woman is going on and on. "Yeah, I saw him in the last days of his life, and he lifted the covers and showed me his penis and said, 'You want some of this?'"
Oh my God.
He was the same old Jim. And I'm like, yeah, I can believe it. And my uncle was so mad. This woman just went on and on about my father and how wonderful he was. Oh, dear God. And then I happened to have a seat open beside me at the funeral. So when she came down from the podium, she came and sat beside me.
Oh
Well, my
gosh.
uncle, who's fuming, he goes back up there. He's like, okay, well, thank you so much for those very kind words. And he's like, he goes again into his eulogy and he goes, yeah, and Jim loved the ladies. And there's this woman next to me, right next to me with her arm around me. Yup, yup, yup. Oh, dear God in heaven. Can we get through this fucking funeral, ma'am? Oh, God. But see, and everybody might be wondering, okay, so what did this guy have that the fucking guy was legless? He was like, what did he have? Well, I'll tell you, I took care of him when he was sick. He died of cancer. He was a 4-pack a day smoker.
Oh jeez.
I took care of him when he was sick. And I'll tell you, like the first time that I had to clean my father, I kid you not, I went to clean him. And afterwards, I text my sister and I said, oh my God in heaven, I can see why the women threw themselves at Dad. The dude was hung. I hate to say that about my father, but oh dear God in heaven, that man was a gift from God. Okay. I mean, I hope he passes some of those genetics down to my children. So we have the funeral, right? Well, anytime you have a funeral, everybody's sad, everybody goes about their day, and everybody goes on with their life. Well, not too long after the funeral, this woman reaches out to me. And this is kind of when Facebook was starting to become pretty big, right? And this woman
Yeah.
reaches out to me via Facebook and she's like, hey, I hear you're Jim Dyer's daughter and um blah blah blah. And I'm like, oh great, this is probably somebody else who fucked my father. I mean, there's probably 1,000 of you out there. I don't know what to tell you. And she's like, I believe you're my half sister. I'm like, half sister? What the fuck we talking about here, bitch?
Oh gosh. Oh gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, she said she had reached out to my father a little bit prior to that, had exchanged some pictures. Her mother and my father, she said, met at a party way back when my dad was home from the army. He was in the army during the Vietnam War. And her biological mother had gotten pregnant and put the baby up for adoption. And so I asked my aunt, and my aunt's like, I know that girl. She ran around a lot. I remember your dad saying that this woman reached out to him, but he never believed it. And I'm thinking, okay, well, my dad never believed it. He never said anything to me. And he raised me. So I know for sure that if this was his kid, he would have raised this fucking kid. So I'm like, I blew her off, right? Well, last year when my mom died, I started thinking about that again. I'm like, wonder what's going on with that chick that thought she was my half sister, right?
Yeah.
So I thought, well, I'll reach out to her. So I reached out to her and I said, hey, so I did like this 23andMe DNA test. I said, if you ever want to just confirm you're my sibling, go ahead and do that test. She goes, well, I'm pretty sure, but I'll do it. The bitch is my half sister. And I'm like, oh, hell no. So I asked my cousin, because I have an older cousin who partied a lot with my dad. And I said, well, my dad always said he couldn't have kids. Like, that's why his first marriage ended, was because he couldn't have children. And that's why my mom, when she was with him, she was surprised she got pregnant. And my cousin was like giggling, right? I said, don't you tell me that's some shit that he used to tell women that he couldn't have kids. And that's what my cousin said.
Oh gosh.
Because he used to tell women that. God knows how many fucking siblings I have out there.
Oh wow.
I'm like, Fuck if I know. Lord knows I probably got more. I probably got more. Oh, Jesus. But gotta love my father. And what you gotta love even more is when you have to clear their shit out, right? So let this be a lesson to any of you. Okay. When you die, somebody will need to go through your shit. Somebody. And more than likely, if your children are of age, it will be your children going through your shit. I had to go through my father's shit. Right. Well, one of the things I found was an old video camcorder.
Oh my God.
And the way the camcorders used to work, you know, it wasn't saved to the cloud or no shit like that. It's actually a tape. So play this tape. And I see one of my dad's old girlfriends, the one he was with for 15 years, doing a strip tease. And I see her taking her shit off, and there's my dad on the camcorder, and it like jogged a memory of mine, everything that was on this tape of when I was younger. And this woman and her best friend both coming out of my dad's bedroom one morning and me asking, well, Dad, where did so and so sleep? And he goes, oh, she slept in the chair. Yeah. Yeah. So that videotape reminded me that my father had no chair in his bedroom when these young ladies spent the night at his house. So that was a nice surprise.
Yeah. I mean, the man had sex tapes.
He had some sex tapes.
Oh God,
but they are destroyed.
I gotta give it to. Well, thank God for that. But I gotta give it to him. At least he tried it. He was trying to do OnlyFans before OnlyFans became a thing. So
those were his private sex tapes. Yeah, no, they're destroyed. We pulled all the tape out and all that shit. That's good. But then another thing I found. So my dad was also diabetic, and what some of you may not realize with diabetics, especially the men, they have trouble with getting an erection. And I found this really heavy duty, and it actually had a receipt in there. It was like $350. And this was like 18 years ago. $350 penis pump. So a penis pump, you put on the male's penis and you pump it up and it gets their dick hard, right? So I'm like looking at this shit like, oh my God, Dad, why the fuck would he need a penis pump? The man has no fucking legs. I'm like, he can't. He's pumping up his shit so he can still try to get some. Okay, Dad. So I'm telling my ex about this, right? And I just throw my dad's shit in the dumpster. And my ex was down there. We were exchanging our son. And I'm telling him about this. I'm like, yeah, my fucking perverted father. It's not bad enough. He was fucking all these women while I was growing up. And we got these women showing up at his funeral. I'm having to throw away penis pumps and sex tapes. I'm like, God damn, Daddy. Jesus Christ. No wonder why I got sex issues, right? So I throw my shit away. I get a call like the next day from my ex. He's like, yeah, so remember that penis pump you threw away?
Oh my God.
And I'm like, yeah, like down in the dumpster at the hotel or the apartments I live at. He said, yeah. He goes, well, after I dropped off our so and so, he goes, I went down there and got it out. I said, you telling me, motherfucker, that you crawled into a dumpster to get a used, now it's not brand new, that shit was used penis pump. He goes, yeah, but I figured my dick had been every place my dick had been, somebody else's dick has been there too. He said he got in there and got that penis pump that my dad had used. And he pumped his dick up and he couldn't get it off. He couldn't get that penis pump off. He had to wait until his shit went back down to get that penis pump off his dick. I'm like, what kind of sick motherfuckers do I date? Get a fucking used penis pump.
And like, I hope he like washed it out or like, put
Oh,
it through
who the fuck knows?
put
He
it, I don't know,
he's got some issues.
put it through a dishwash cycle or something, man. Just, like make sure it's disinfected first and then like,
I don't,
I guess use it. I don't know.
uh,
Jeez.
he's kind of special. So
Okay, gotcha.
who knows? He may not have. I have no idea. He's something else. But yeah. So that was my dad. He died almost been a little over 18 years ago now, but I'm telling you, the legend lives on. There are still times that I will run into people and they will be like, yeah, I knew your dad. I'm like, yeah, bet you did. Bet you did. He destroyed more than one marriage. That's for goddamn sure. I can remember, I'm telling you, I can remember girlfriends. I can remember, marriages, wives. Oh, yeah. And what's funny is when I started having sex, because he was a single father raising a daughter, we had a housekeeper that would come and clean our house. And I was like 15, 16 years old. And then we had the free clinic where we could go down and we could get free condoms and stuff. And I had them in my jewelry box. And this bitch must have went through my shit because she told my father that I had condoms. And I can remember my father telling me, he's like, well, I know they're not yours, but it doesn't look good. And I'm like,
The pot calling the kettle black.
I'm like, okay. Yeah, I'm like, no, actually, Dad, they are mine. Oh my God. The world was falling down. God. And then there was another time, this was even worse because I was like 18, 19 years old. And my boyfriend, because my dad traveled for work, this was another thing. I don't know how I didn't have like a high school pregnancy or drug addiction or anything like that, because my dad would come home on Sunday, pay the bills, and then leave Monday morning and be in Columbus, Ohio until like Thursday night. Come home Thursday night, spend the night, get up Friday morning, and go to his girlfriend's until Sunday.
Jeez.
So he was never there all through high school. Oh my God, dude, the parties I used to have, holy shit. So he was never there. My boyfriend spent the night all the fucking time. And I remember because he used to have drivers because he was a car dealer and they owned a car lot, and they had drivers that would constantly have to move the cars. And I remember a driver coming in one time and my boyfriend leaving, and the driver must have said something to my dad because my dad was like, well, I know you're not having sex, but it just looks bad. And I'm thinking, I'm like 18 years old. You're never here.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
Dad, I'm not having sex.
I love that his whole thing is like, well, it looks bad. It's like, listen, Pop.
I'm just like, okay, sure. He was so funny. It was like my life could have turned out a lot worse. I mean, I had so much freedom. It wasn't even funny, but I definitely did not learn my morality from him. I mean, he would be like shocked that I haven't been with anybody in so long. Oh, good Lord. Oh, my father. I tell you. But yeah, yep. So it's been about 8 years. And I think he's worth a shout out. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, he sounds
He
like
gave a lot of joy to women.
Yeah, I mean it's clearly, but yeah, he sounds like a hoot. He sounds like he'd be a fun person to talk to about just stories about life and all kinds of stuff like that. So yeah.
Oh, he was. I remembered when Dawn came to see him when he was sick. He had cancer, so he was at home. And I graduated with Dawn, and she came and she gave him a hug, and he's like, "Damn, Dawn, you get any bigger, you'll be all tits." I mean, that's fucking dude's dying, and he's talking about this bitch's tits. Like, my God,
Oh
Dad.
God, just a man to the end.
He fucking was, man.
Oh jeez.
Right to the very end. So
Yeah.
yeah, that probably explains. I would say that that explains my mouth and my cursing, but actually I don't get that from my father. I get that from my mother. My mother cursed like a goddamn sailor right up until the very end. Oh my dear God. I can remember because, like I said, about this time last year, my mom died. And I remember this poor hospice nurse was trying to take my mom's blood pressure. And my mom's like, don't you fucking touch me.
Oh gosh.
And the nurse is like, oh, I'm so sorry. Did I hurt you? And it's like, oh, no, no, that's just how my mom talks. She's okay. So for any of you wondering why Erica curses like a sailor, hey, you know what? I can't help it. It's it's the way I was raised.
Yeah. That's yeah. It sounds like a hell of a dude.
He
Um.
really was.
Yeah.
He was a lot of joy to the world.
Yeah. Definitely.
And you know what? This is what gets me. So I can only speak to the things that I know. What about the shit I don't know? What did he take to his motherfucking grave? That would be interesting
Ah,
because I probably only know the basic
I
shit.
mean, I mean, we could always start a GoFundMe and make a documentary about your dad. I'm just saying, we need to,
Oh,
we need to start heavily interviewing everybody he's ever known, and just start grilling them for questions. And just
oh dear
you'll
God.
it would end up being a 4.5 hour documentary about it, but we would learn everything, I'm sure.
I'm, oh, I don't know if there's some things I probably don't want to learn.
Probably,
there's, there
probably.
probably are many things I do not want to learn. Oh, but I do think that's it. I think that's pretty good point to leave my dad in right now.
Yeah, this is one hell of an episode. It's a nice tribute to your dad. It was good to hear about him. Yeah, just uh just a man to the end. Was sorry that he's no longer with us, but he's probably in a better place now.
Yep.
But
Let's hope he is.
yeah. Um any 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 final remarks?
The only final remark I will have is advice I take for myself. Don't leave shit in your room that you don't want your kids or family members to find. If you don't want anyone to find your penis pump, get rid of that shit. Have a friend that's going to dispose of it for you because that ain't something that your child needs to see.
Fair enough. Yeah, I guess that's it for this episode. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, Erica D Podcast at Twitter, and Erica D Podcast on Instagram as well. And yeah, we'll get to you next week.